Hi everybody, welcome to Lifelong Learning. I'm your host, Michael Henry Davies. Today we're playing with these. These are called Lunastix or Devil Sticks, and they're one of my favorite things to play with, to use as like a thinking tool or a movement tool. So today, this is some of what I enjoy doing with the Lunastix after playing with them for a while, but I'm going to show you how to do the Lunastix. So the first thing that you're going to want to work on, you got to get your knees bent because everything's more difficult if they're not. From there, you want your knees going over your toes. If your knees are going outside of your toes or inside of your toes, you're gonna hurt yourself doing this. So keep your knees going over your toes, keep your toes kind of just pointed out. I'm like just about that angle. The first step that I start with is called the straight toss. So this is what this looks like. I bend down, I go up, and I try to keep the Lunastick as straight as I possibly can while I'm doing that. So I'll run just a couple of those. That really helps me practice equal pressure, equal sort of force in each of the sticks. Which I should have started with. The way I hold the stick usually is just like this with my fingers and my thumb. All four fingers and a thumb. You can also switch up the grip if you want to play with weird stuff, but for today we won't talk about that. So just straight toss with my normal grip. The next step would be what I call a half toss, and that looks like this. So it's where the Lunastick is actually going to rotate a half of a rotation, right? And you'll notice all of these are starting from my knees so that I'm getting everything coordinated. That's going to be what we call a half toss. And again, this is just all words I made up. This isn't like scientific. After you've got your half toss down, then you can work on a half turn, as I call it, which a turn is like turning this way. So turn like that and turn the other way, and you'll notice the yellow tassel travels from my right to my left. And you can practice those along with your tosses, along with your straight tosses, along with some more turns. And so those kind of three things, the straight toss, the half toss, and the half turn, become really good practice because you learn to control the stick in the center, to kind of place it. All right, next, after we've got our straight toss, our half turn, then we can practice a full toss, right? So that's a 360 basically, it's doing a full spin, and the same thing, a full turn, where the yellow tassel now is starting on my right and landing on my right. So that would be a full turn, and you can mix in half, full, straight, half turn, full turn, right? It's all good practice. So those are the first three things: the straight toss, half turn. Once you've got those down, geez, I don't even know if I want to add more, but we're going to add more. We're going to add one more thing. Okay, we're going to add two more things. One of these is called a twist. That's what we used to call this. So you come down, you lift up, and I'm going to continue with this hand. I'm going to continue, and I'm going to have the Lunastick rotate as I'm coming up. So it starts like a straight toss, but then one stick comes off and the other one continues that rotation. And then I come around to catch it at the end. Bam, and here's the other side on that. A lot of fun. So you can do like, half toss into a twist into a half turn, and it starts to get really fun with the combos. So that's what we would call a twist. Now let's look at what we would call a tilt. So a tilt, I'm actually going to send this tassel forward, and I'm going to leave this other sort of hand stick on the rightmost third as I'm spinning. So as I'm spinning, it's actually able to use that momentum. I'm pushing the tassel forward, and I just allow it to keep coming forward. I'm lifting this and kind of spinning it so that it comes up over my shoulder, and we would call that a tilt. So now I could go for a twist into a tilt, into a straight toss, into a half toss, into a full turn, into a half toss, into a tilt over here, into a twist over there. So that's kind of how all these things come together into like helpful modules, if you will. And then the real big practice thing, this is always what I was taught as a kid to practice. The big practice thing is put one tassel on the ground and then go back and forth like this and try to get the Lunastick up in the air. And once you have that, known as the tick-tock, along with all the rest of the tools that I was showing you, a lot of this other stuff that I'm now doing and playing with, these are basically just variations on those first few things that I did. So as you play with it, play with those first few things, the straight toss, half turn, full toss, tilts, twists, and the tick-tock, all of those things combined together basically become the entire movement library that I'm using whenever I'm doing Lunastix. And so basically, I guess I'll show one last one that I've been working on recently, is the tassel catch. The most advanced thing I can do right now is this, the tassel catch, where you throw it up and you catch it on the tassel, but that one is hard to maintain. So as you can see, I can only get it for a couple seconds at a time, if at all. And that is my Lunastix tutorial. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. We'll follow this up with some more next time, and really appreciate you watching.